Hello, everybody. Welcome to ARWP, the All Real Wrestling Podcast, with your co-host Jason Smith.
And your other co-host, Eric Novak.
Today is a special day for WrestleMania. Are you excited, Eric?
Of course, I bought it, sadly, and I will be watching it in the comfort of my own home.
Well, there is nothing wrong with that. Today, me and you, Eric, we've been having a really good discussion lately over the past 72 hours about what topics we should go with today. And you and me ended up deciding the three ones that will make people excited about not only WrestleMania, but wrestling in general.
Yep, that's true.
Now, the three topics are going to be this. It's going to be rumors about WrestleMania and wrestling in general. It's going to be about the Wednesday Night Wars, and we're going to end it off today with WrestleMania predictions for not only day one, but day two as well.
Yep, and to clarify what the Wednesday Night Wars are, that is the war between NXT and All Elite Wrestling.
Now, many people say that there is no Wednesday Night War, but you and me, we see the ratings, we have our opinions, we talk about it literally as soon as the TV goes off, and we can clearly see that there is a war between these two shows.
That is correct.
Now, let's dive right on into these rumors today, but first, there was an announcement on some kickoff matches tonight for WrestleMania. Eric, did you hear about that?
Of course, I heard Drew Gulak will be versing Cesaro. I would love to see that match, and I cannot wait to see the kickoff. And I know Natalya will be versing Liv Morgan, veteran versus newbie, kind of. It'll be good to see that.
I honestly cannot wait to see both of those matches, especially on the kickoff match. Disappointed that we probably will not be getting Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal as well as a Women's Battle Royal.
Please don't remind me that.
Yes, it is sad, but we both know.
It's not WrestleMania without the Battle Royales.
It won't be, but we're going to have to put our feet to the ground, clench our toes, and strap in for a good ride today. Now, if we hop on right into these rumors that I mentioned first that we were going to start off with, it was a big one that was actually speculating around the whole Roman Reigns issue and his health and why he would not be able to compete at WrestleMania. Now, we all know that he recently just defeated leukemia, and you kind of don't want to add another virus on to trickle that virus back on top of a person. Now, we all understand the health and how it's most important to wrestlers and superstars and the whole company of not just WWE, but in any other company with wrestling involved. Now, I heard that there were some people backstage that honestly weren't too happy about it and actually blamed Roman for the situation.
I heard about that too. It was very messed up, and the worst thing is that me and Jason knew about this Roman Reigns thing for weeks, and we were waiting to see when WWE will announce it, and they just announced it yesterday on SmackDown Live. So they wanted everybody who didn't purchase WrestleMania to purchase it before they changed the news, which, for business, not bad of an idea, but for, fans, a little bit messed up that they did that to us.
Honestly, I feel like with Roman Reigns, you and I both agreed on this. We had a good conversation about it last night. A person's health is immediately the first thing you got to think of when it comes to a wrestler, because these guys go all around the world. They travel, they do live events, they do shows when you don't even think they're going to do shows in places like Saudi Arabia, Japan, Washington, D.C., and there's the basic places around. But with blaming somebody who has literally no control over that on their own body or to get a disease is wrong. And yes, I am disappointed about the whole they replaced him with Braun Strowman thing, but I completely understand how it feels to just be sick and not be able to show up to a place. Now, he isn't sick currently, but it is best to keep somebody out of the building and make sure they are safe. And because Roman Reigns is basically the top seller. He's the reason why most of the kids show up to the events. So if you put that guy in risk of basically going right back to a disease and going right back to that bed. It's not going to be good news for anybody, especially that superstar.
No, it will not. And remember, Roman Reigns has his own family to worry about, his own daughter. Safety comes first, and family comes first.
Definitely, and 100%. Now, there were a couple other things going on in the wrestling world because WWE, again, isn't our only priority. We go with other superstars from different companies, Impact, New Japan. A recent endeavor, however, was a wrestler who has wrestled multiple times in a company called MLW. His name is Teddy Hart. Eric, did you hear about the situation?
Of course I did. And if you guys aren't watching MLW, go check it out. It has nothing but the best talent. It has nothing but the best teams, the best bookings. Honestly, the champions right now, Alexander Hammerstone, are insane. You got to check it out. It's crazy. But speaking of Teddy Hart, yep, he has been arrested. We're not going to get specific to why because, again, it's not our job to give you guys false information. But what we know is, it had something to do with his girlfriend, some kind of abuse. We don't know what kind of abuse. And we know that he's in jail and he's going to be staying in jail for a few weeks.
However, in this situation, like Eric has just explained, we're not going to get into big detail because it is not our place to. But seeing that situation and seeing him possibly in prison for, whatever happened between him and his current girlfriend, wife, I feel as it's terrible to immediately put that on your reputation as a wrestler because honestly, if you get arrested, then chances are you might get released instantly. Now with Teddy Hart, I feel like this could possibly be just a minor inconvenience, kind of like, the whole Rich Swann incident a couple years back. You never know what happens in these situations. So we're not really allowed to put our foot and put our notepad and pen down to start researching this event because honestly, it could just be a misunderstanding. And I feel as if Teddy Hart probably, if he did do what they're saying he did, then that's terrible. But if it's all just a misunderstanding and we see him next week at his house chilling, then, well,
good for him.
Yeah, basically, you know what I'm saying. Any other rumors that you've heard recently around here, Eric?
Well, this isn't a rumor. This is a fact, and we have not brought it up yet. I don't know if it's tonight, but WrestleMania has had a change in plans due to the injury that The Miz has, severed yesterday on SmackDown Live. They changed the match to John Morrison versus Kofi Kingston versus Jimmy Uso. I love the edit. I love the change of plan. I think we need to see, these guys on their own for a bit. I think Kofi Kingston, I don't think I remember seeing Kofi Kingston fight for himself in a long time other than WrestleMania. And honestly, I can't wait to see what Morrison could do in a triple threat on Mania. And of course, Jimmy Uso, who will show countless times that him and his brother are stronger together, but he is not nothing without his brother and that he can win a match. And I think Jimmy Uso could do it.
Honestly, after you told me this whole change, I did some research. And you want to know the last triple threat ladder match in WWE was?
When?
It was in TLC of 2010. It was Kofi Kingston, Dolph Ziggler, and Jack Swagger.
Wow, Jack Swagger, wow.
Now, I feel like seeing how Kofi Kingston was in the last one, it might get him a little slight advantage in that matchup. And I also feel like John Morrison has a huge advantage because if you go back and you count all the ladder matches, John Morrison has been in more of them than everybody else inside of that matchup. Kofi Kingston right behind him, and Jimmy Uso, honestly, he's only been in 2.
That's the most interesting part. People can go for Morrison because of experience. People could go for Kofi for the WrestleMania moment. Kofi has already had his WrestleMania moment, but now he'll be doing it for the New Day. So if Kofi wins this, he wins it for the New Day, for Xavier Woods, for Big E. That's New Day's big moment, even though, might not be how everyone wanted it to be. Or it could be the underdog who's been overlooked in this match, Jimmy Uso, who go in it for him and his brother, who have been gone for a short amount of time and came back recently. They're the ones that are being overlooked right now, and I think those are the guys that could do it probably.
Honestly, when later, before we end this podcast, we are definitely going to tell you guys our predictions and how we feel about each and every match, including that possible show-stealing event. Now, recently, with all the WrestleMania changes and all the former rumors and stuff going around about how they're going to do this, I actually looked up a couple of things, and I heard we might possibly get a interesting stage design for the Performance Center. Did you hear about that, Eric?
I heard that it will be very different from the original empty arena venue that we've been seeing. I heard that it'll be a little bit outdoor, maybe, I heard the same thing, and I've also heard about the Firefly Funhouse match, how that will be animated into such as a movie, a little bit more darker, kind of like the House of Horrors match that Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton had. One of my favorite matches.
A couple of years ago. I feel like if they do the same thing or a little bit different, but in the Fiend's perspective, that could also be a show-stealing match. Because Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt in the House of Horrors match was probably one of the most entertaining matches I've seen in 2017.
That's probably one of my favorite. Yeah, it's definitely on the record from one of my favorite matches of Randy Orton / Bray Wyatt.
See, now, with all of this changes and all these things, you can honestly tell WWE is doing what they can. Are they doing it in a bad way? In a couple of ways, yes. Are they doing what they can? Yeah. I feel like they're trying, but they're almost there. Because I'm not going to say that, this is going to be the worst Mania without fans. I feel like now that everybody is sitting at home, because don't get me wrong, people can complain all over the internet about, oh no, there's no fans, this is going to be bad. It's not like you're not going to watch it anyway, you know what I mean?
That is true.
With the whole Mania thing, I feel like since there's no millions of eyes watching people, they might put on, not going to say an even better performance, but I feel like they're still going to touch the top of that ceiling and still make it a fun night for all of us.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I really can't see what they have to show us tonight.
Now, is there any other rumors that you have heard?
Oh, we have a lot of rumors. So, let's get out of the WWE area for a bit, and let's go to Impact Wrestling.
Ooh.
So, sadly, with what's happening, Impact currently only has 3 weeks left of content that they have taped before, the virus.
Right.
And now, after 3 weeks, we don't know what's going to happen in Impact Wrestling. That's one of their biggest worries. Are they going to have to create new content? Are they going to have to find a way to do empty arena shows? Only time will tell. But the news of this is you only have 3 weeks of Impact left. And me and Jason are big lovers of Impact. And this is very dangerous for us because we know how Impact is when they don't have enough money in the budget. So we just have to see what happens with their roster and what they're going to do. Hopefully, we don't get the last resort, which is getting reruns of, old TNA stuff, because we don't want that. Honestly, as fans, we don't want that, and we know how hard it is right now for people to fly out, do a show. We don't know how companies are doing it, like WWE and All Elite Wrestling and NXT, but we hope Impact can do something with that. Now, going from a darker perspective on this, let's go to a lighter perspective. Currently, this week on TNA Impact, we had Impact show, and then after that we had the TNA special. We had Blast from the Past matches, and I think we should talk about that for a brief couple minutes, Jason.
Sure, let's go on around. I mean, first off, I always like when TNA wrestlers come on Impact. Kind of gives you that. I know it may sound weird, but it kind of turns your eyes from blue to brown because you kind of look at it and you're just like, wow, this is what I grew up watching. This is great. It's good to see these guys, still in shape, still able to move around. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, when you think about TNA and you think about Impact Wrestling, there wouldn't be one without the other. You know that very well, right?
Of course.
Now, when you see the first matchup, which was Hernandez versus Chase Stevens, all of the thing was just kind of you just continue to watch the matchup and you're just like, wow, these guys can still go at it. Now, was disappointed about there's no place like home being canceled, but to see these guys promoting it, to see how they care, it honestly, it just keeps on showing you how it gets better and better and how the future will look brighter after everything is all over.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think it's amazing what they did for us. Gave us that special. Jason, I just we'll get back to the results of it and how we felt about it. But I also want to ask you, predict right now if they rebook the show, what do you think it'll be?
Where do I think it'll be?
Yeah.
In this circumstance right now, it'd have to be in an undisclosed location. I feel like they wouldn't tell us where it'd be.
No, I'm saying when everything gets better and they do decide to do the show, what do you think they're gonna do it? This was originally supposed to be in Tampa, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like they could probably either push it over to New York City. They could probably maybe push it over to Chicago, or they could probably just continue on with plans and keep it in Florida.
Yeah, that's true. I think it'd be easier for them to do it in Florida. That's why most of the rosters are already there.
Right. Of course, a lot of people live there.
Yep.
In that area.
All right. The next match in the TNA special was, I believe, Kid Cash versus Johnny Swinger versus Suicide and Manic, right?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. That was also the main event.
I don't want to get emotional in any way, but that match will always be, one of those matches that I'll never forget. That's the match that, in my opinion, match of the year, match. I can't give it, the biased claim. It was just something that I needed to see, and it was a great blast in the past. I think as a little boy, when I was watching wrestling, my dream was to see Manic versus Manic tag team with Suicide, and we got that. And if everyone heard clearly, apparently Manic and Suicide were supposed to be in the X match for the X Division title.
Yes, indeed, Ultimate X.
Yeah, and I really was really disappointed when the show was over, when the show got canceled. So let's hope something happens from this. We know that Madman Fulton had a match with Rhino, and then Tommy Dreamer came out, Raven came out, and everyone else came out, and that's what TNA is. That's how I loved the end of TNA, with complete carnage.
Nothing wrong with a little non-stop action, especially to end the show.
Yep, I love the fact that they gave us the original intro and everything. That was beautiful. Good job.
Yeah, that. I actually marked out a little bit when I saw that 2009, 2010 throwback. I kind of screamed like a little girl, not going to lie.
And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, we are going to change the ball. We went to WrestleMania. We went to Impact. Let's get to All Elite Wrestling, and we got two big news for it. If you guys haven't heard, we have a new championship that'll be aired soon.
Ooh, yep. I can't wait to see the design.
Yep, it'll be aired very, very soon. It'll be aired. The tournament will start April 8th, so very soon, and it will be called the TNT Championship. Now, we will tell you who we think deserves it or who we think will get it when, the tournament starts and we get to see the whole roster. For now, we just know that we're going to have a new title, and that's amazing for All Elite Wrestling, and we'll get to that about the Wednesday Night Wars. The second thing is, this was a real rumor. Police attempted to break up All Elite Wrestling tapings last week and the week before because, they had to have the right, paperwork for it. And because they're in an undisclosed location, we have now known that they are actually taping it at QT Marshall's gym, which is pretty big apparently. Wow. So thank you, QT Marshall, for giving us, TV for All Elite Wrestling.
Honestly, again, just like you said, big thanks to him, because before this all started, I did see his gym, and I've seen some videos on it, a couple of, wrestlers and people training and working out over there. Now, to see basic, kind of like a place where, you're supposed to learn stuff, to they're, filming things over there, and they're getting ready for the next week of Dynamite over there, and, and being creative in the places that they go to. It shows you how these guys, they don't think of it in a business standpoint. They think of it of outside of the circle standpoint, and like, oh yeah, what can we provide? Where can we go? We're not going to stay in the same place, and just keep on recording things. We're going to change it up, make it unique, make people do things, because I'll bring up more of that during the Wednesday Night Wars, because I have a huge thank you to give to All Elite Wrestling for that.
Yep, and we're going to let it all off with these final two rumors until we get to the Wednesday Night Wars. Number one is Triple H was talking about splitting WrestleMania into 2 days, and he goes, we're in new times, we're in new territory. If this is a success, this is what we might see in the future. So, you don't know, guys. We don't know what's going to happen, but WrestleMania might be a 2-day event soon. More money for the company, more money for us to spend on these pay-per-views. It seems like a genius idea as long as they can fill it up with good spots. More matches, more opportunity. And the final news is the disappointment of it all. Money in the Bank has been canceled. The one that's supposed to be on 5/9 in Baltimore has been officially canceled. The reason why they didn't cancel Mania was because tickets were already sold. Things were already spent. Vince McMahon does not want to go do Money in the Bank. So all pay-per-views of WWE will be canceled until further notice, and the next one was supposed to be Money in the Bank at 5/9. That is now being canceled. It was supposed to be in Baltimore, and now it is no longer happening. That looks like it is all for the news today for the ARWP Rumors and News forecast.
Definitely a sad thing with Money in the Bank. Probably my third favorite WWE pay-per-view. However, I get it. It was due to the virus, but you never know. Maybe they'll possibly, maybe they'll bring it back, maybe at a different location when all this is over. But until then, still very disappointed. Now, when we go into the Wednesday Night Wars, now, me and Eric, we don't argue about a lot of things, but when this topic comes up, I'll just be flat out with it. Eric is with All Elite Wrestling, and I'm with NXT. Now, the reason why is what we're about to get into. Eric, when you see All Elite Wrestling, what makes it different from NXT and other wrestling companies?
It's a very good question. I think it's a startup. I think that, much like other companies, they make enough money to not care enough about what the fans want and just give them what they have. I think All Elite is still in the stage where they want to impress us, and we get, these amazing talents people don't really know about. Talents like Darby Allin, talents like Sammy Guevara. And I think having veterans like Cody, Jericho, Moxley train them by joining them in this, it's more like this can actually be the next big thing. And it definitely is beating Raw and SmackDown, which is the longest reigning things. But NXT is doing the exact same thing. So if I had to say this specifically, it would be that All Elite Wrestling is copying NXT's ways. They're getting, the legends, the veterans who are supposedly there, kinda like Finn Balor, like others. Like if Charlotte Flair wins the NXT Championship, I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, she'll be a veteran there. I think I think they stole stuff from NXT, and NXT is stealing stuff from All Elite Wrestling to get these viewers. And that's part of the Wednesday Night Wars. It's to get veterans teaching these new guys like Velveteen Dream, like Undisputed Era, like Riddle, like Pete Dunne, all that, to do what they could do on their own soon enough. Like, I honestly believe Austin Theory, who will be at WrestleMania tag teaming against Angel Garza, against the Street Profits. I believe one day we'll see Austin Theory in the same level as John Cena. I think he'll be main eventing Raw, SmackDown, not in the same, gimmick, but as hype-wise. I believe Austin Theory is the next big thing. He's the future of the division. The Roman Reigns, the John Cena. I think that these soon-to-be guys will be. I think that Velveteen Dream will be like, the Shawn Michaels. I think everybody has potential, and I think that people that are on Raw and SmackDown right now that are the main roster are being overlooked. But I feel like people that are NXT that are going to one day become the main roster will not be overlooked. Same thing with All Elite Wrestling.
Wow. Definitely. See, this is why me and Eric go over the Wednesday Night Wars together. Because, like I told you guys before, we discuss this at least once a week. It's just a thing. Usually it's on Wednesdays.
It's always Wednesdays.
Me and Eric both picked our sides, but we have constant respect for both sides. Because, as he said, AEW kind of takes stuff from NXT, and NXT does the same. I feel like when it comes down to all the extra stuff that All Elite Wrestling does, it's honestly better than WWE's NXT because, let's see, you have, you have All Elite Wrestling. They have their show called AEW Dark, right? With this show, you see people that not many people have heard about. You see people like Sean Dean. You see people like Matt Sells. You see people like Babu Andre. These are just people that are just on the show trying to get their names out there, and All Elite Wrestling is giving them a chance. Now, I'm not going to say NXT doesn't give people a chance when it comes to spreading their name out, but it's usually in a way where it's, well, they're facing the guy that, they're facing a guy and the other guy's a jobber, basically. That's the entitlement that they give. But with All Elite Wrestling, they give people a chance with these other wrestlers and these indie wrestlers. These guys are going to be the next big thing. Now, when you go with the future people from, Evolve, like Austin Theory, I agree with you. He is going to be big all day. That guy already has the look, charisma, the muscle, health. I already feel like he could main event Raw or SmackDown any day of the week. Now, with NXT being the brand that was there first, it's probably the reason why I enjoy them more, because they've been there longer. They busted their asses to the point where they're better than the quote-unquote main roster. They're not the C show anymore. They're officially the A show. Probably the best thing about WWE currently is NXT. Just like with All Elite Wrestling, they're up there already. But the thing is, they didn't need to beat anybody. They need to beat AEW Dark. All they had to do was start off from the top and give us what we wanted. And that's what I feel like we're getting for both of these shows.
Yeah, of course. All right.
Now,
I mean, that's perfect. The way you described this is perfect. So let's get in depth into this now. Let's get in depth detail into this right now. So what do you want to start off with? We could go NXT, we could go All Elite Wrestling, or we could do back-to-back matches, start from finish, one side on one side, one side on one side.
Sure. Let's go with let's start with the matches. Let's talk about AEW Dark for a second.
All right, start us off there, Jason.
We start with AEW Dark. You want to talk about the show in general, or you want to talk about this week?
We will talk about the show in general.
AEW Dark, honestly, is a fantastic idea. This is something that I don't think I've ever seen before. You give them an hour, and in that hour, you usually see 3 to 4 matches. Now, within that hour, it is usually the people that don't get TV time on the actual AEW Dynamite. Now, there's no problem with that at all. I feel like pushing somebody through and giving them an hour to show what they got in these, 20-minute matches against top people like Jon Moxley, Dustin Rhodes, QT Marshall, and then you got people on the show that are wrestling, like Brandon Cutler, Jimmy Havoc, Sean Spears. You got those people, you already know their names. And when you get to see them for an hour, for free, might I add, you get to see them for free on an hour every week on Tuesday, dominating, showing what they got, and continue to put out there that, they're not going away anytime soon. They're just getting warmed up, and they're going really, really in. And, I like to compare AEW Dark basically to NXT UK. With NXT UK, the same thing happens. You get people from all around the world to meet up in one brand. You got people from Ireland, the United Kingdom. You got people from Blackpool. You just have a whole bunch of different styles of not only wrestling, but character in general. And you just keep providing how there's more than the American wrestling style, because with people like Joe Coffey, Ilya Dragunov, you have hard fighters, but they do it in their style of wrestling that shows, oh, well, they're not over there at the main roster, but hell, they could still compete with all those people any day of the week. And then you got new people, like on AEW with new people, you got like the people I was just talking about, how you had Sean Dean and Matt Sells. On NXT UK, you got people like A-Kid, you got Ashton Smith, people that I can see in the future jumping up on top of the ranks and continuing to go back and back and back. Now, I feel that both shows are capable of kicking off steps, and just steps you can take before you're in the big leagues. And I feel like both shows are doing a great job at that. How do you feel about both of these shows and how they demonstrate the future for wrestling in general?
Okay. I need to think about this one for a second, and I think I got my answer. So, I can't even compare them. NXT UK is basically every UK wrestler's dream to be a part of. NXT UK, I believe, is what was the most overlooked wrestling industry in all of wrestling. I think the United Kingdom, I think anything in that area has been nothing but the best talent. Had gave us people like Zack Sabre Jr., had gave us people like Will Ospreay. Not everyone can make it, but those guys are making it because there's not enough talent, but there is talent. And, there may not be enough guys in the budget to use on television, but we at least see them. And we know them because they hit an impact. They do more on NXT UK that they'll ever do on their own. And that gives them a known face to be watched. So, to NXT UK, I don't watch it because I'm invested. I watch it to scout. I feel that NXT UK is the perfect scout show. I think that I didn't know who Jordan Devlin was until I watched NXT UK, and that man is a prophet. I didn't know who thousands of these wrestlers are until I watched NXT UK, and they are all amazing talents. Now, if I start back to AEW Dark, that's not really a scouting. This is just what I've always known. Independent wrestling, letting them do whatever they want. Joe Janela versus Kip Sabian in Extreme Rules. Darby Allin, doing whatever the hell he does. There is so much talent. We got the Lionhearts versus SCU. We get independent wrestling at its finest. And I feel like that's what we need, because the difference between, and I will change the subject, though, the difference between All Elite Wrestling and AEW Dark is one thing is scripted and the other isn't. One thing is for show and the other thing isn't. When you have a rivalry between Christopher Daniels and the Dark Order, you can't have a match between SCU and, any other tag team, because Dark Order are going to come out. But on AEW Dark, you have this match and there's only a winner and there's no outside interference unless it's big enough to give it its own dialogue. I think AEW Dark is that thing where it's like you're watching wrestling, but this isn't connected to AEW at all. I think we're giving our roster the chance to make a bigger name for themselves. So when we do put them in the dialogue, when we do put them on our show, and we give them their own segments, their own rivalries, you'll already know who they are. That's my interpretation of what AEW Dark is and what NXT UK is.
Honestly, the points that you made about how it's scripted and the other one isn't, I like the fact that you just explained how the wrestling is and how different it is for it, because we both can agree that both AEW Dark and NXT UK, very different fighting styles in a lot of ways. See, I feel like I can agree with you on AEW providing a little bit more than NXT UK, because it feels like NXT UK, I don't want to be that guy. They only throw in really, really good matches either after takeovers, at takeovers, and then preparation for takeovers. I feel like after that point, when it's just that, that long gap where it's like, I don't know, 2-3 months ahead of, the next big takeover or pay-per-view, I don't really feel anything. They just kind of don't really try as hard as I want. Because, I see Tyler Bate putting on great matches with A-Kid, Cassius Ohno, Jordan Devlin. And then you see Jordan Devlin putting on bangers last week, putting on a great match for the Cruiserweight Championship against Travis Banks. And I'm just like, wow, why can't it be like this every week with, Noam Dar versus A-Kid? And they just keep on putting on great matches. But then the week after and then after, you get to a high. It's like they get to that high and then they drop. But for AEW Dark, I feel like they keep at the same high, but they could go a lot higher, because this week, as you said, they had Jon Moxley on there. Now, that's something that's never been done before. The world champion has never been on AEW Dark, and I like the fact that they're putting that guy on against another indie guy who's really, really good in the ring as well, because then you're just like, oh, Jon Moxley isn't just one of those guys that's just going to show up for the big bucks. He's trying to show up for the goddamn wrestling. And so he keeps on putting that up, and I feel like AEW can go higher and higher and higher if they keep up that momentum going on. I feel like they can get higher than NXT UK, and I feel like right now they are in the same spot when it comes to not viewership, but product.
Yep, I agree with you, but I also think we should mention, how hard NXT UK is trying to influence their own wrestling style, strong style. I saw, this week, the whole thing between, Trent Seven and Tyler Bate in the Battle Royale. That was beautiful. That was orchestrated beautiful. I think NXT UK is simply perfect in matches. I feel like you won't be disappointed in any match you see, because both these guys have tried so hard. And that's the thing AEW Dark is lacking. That's the only thing, that when you watch an NXT UK match, you leave going, wow. They may have not used my favorite guy. I may have not seen, the guy I wanted to see tonight, but just wow. That's the impression that I would love to get from All Elite Wrestling. And like we said, nothing is perfect. All Elite Wrestling is doing something better than NXT UK. NXT UK is not using enough talent. I see the UK talent, but I don't see it like I wanted to see it. For example, I'm invested in Kenny Williams and his tag partner. I can never pronounce his name, but if you can help me out just now, I would appreciate it.
I do not want to say it wrong, but I understand who you're talking about.
Yeah, I saw him on the Battle Royale. He lasted longer than Kenny Williams, but I don't see him, doing tag matches with Kenny Williams anymore. It's the point where it's like NXT UK is only focusing on these specific guys until further notice. And that's what NXT UK is lacking. The fact that they're not using their full roster. What AEW is lacking, Dark, is the fact that they're not giving us a 5-star match. They're giving us a squash match. Let's say it's Hager versus some jobber. We know how that's going to end. But that's not what we sat home to watch.
I 100% agree with you on the performances, because with NXT UK, you kind of have that. Well, these guys have been wrestling for at least over a decade. Any of them you could say about it, or even some of the rookies. You just expect better wrestling, especially with unique styles they put on. Now, with All Elite Wrestling, now let's just take a step from AEW Dark and NXT UK. How do you feel about NXT and All Elite Wrestling Dynamite matches? How do you feel those compare?
I feel like one is stronger than the other in specific matches. For example, the women's division. I feel like NXT is a little bit stronger than AEW because of the storylines, the rivalries, and just the knowledge of the female performers. Now, that's one thing that NXT is winning in the Wednesday Night Wars. What All Elite Wrestling is winning is they're trying to use the full same roster they've been using throughout the month. You don't get any new guys. Guys don't disappear. You use the same roster to keep the story longer, alive, and thriving. And that's what NXT is missing. We're getting these guys like Jake Atlas, Dexter Loomis, Jaquin Wild, all that, and we don't see them the week after. We don't see them the 2 weeks after, but they come back whenever they come back, and that's losing interest in one of the wrestlers. Like, we're invested. The way fans work is they're invested in a wrestler and they follow the wrestler. You can't be invested into someone if you don't see them. Like Mustafa Ali. I'm a huge fan of Mustafa Ali. You're a huge fan of Mustafa Ali. But if we can't see him, how could we be invested in him? You know what I mean?
I honestly agree with you. You gotta, when you're picking your favorite superstars and you're picking, oh yeah, man, I really enjoy this guy for his technical ability, or I enjoy this guy for the high flying. You got to see that guy perform to see if, they've edited their moveset, to see them on TV, or just to see if they've improved in the past, 2-3 months that they weren't on TV. Because when you get interested in a wrestler, of course you're going to want to see him more, but if you're not throwing them out anymore, how are you going to be interested in that if they keep shoving down the same wrestlers down your throat? Which I feel like NXT kind of has to do a little bit better jobs with that, because with All Elite Wrestling, they throw out pretty much everybody, at least on the show. Like, before last week you saw a great match between Jimmy Havoc and Cody Rhodes. And even if you think about this week, I saw probably the best match of the week, in my opinion, between Kenny Omega and Trent. I haven't seen those two wrestle since New Japan.
Is it convenient that the same night we get Jimmy Havoc and Cody, we also get Austin Theory and Tyler Breeze, veteran versus newbie, you know what I mean?
I feel that it's honest. I feel like they have the same mindset, but they just keep continuing to cut each other's throats a little bit slowly, when they should just be focusing on making a better show for the fans, honestly. Because if they drop the whole ego thing and listen to us and throw everything out, maybe the war won't be as bad. But then there's also the double-edged sword. If they listen to us and give us what we want, we'll most likely betray them and pick the other side. Because if we're being honest, most wrestling fans, if you're a wrestling fan and you get a topic between the Wednesday Night Wars and you say, hey, and somebody asks you, hey, which is better? And your response isn't, I don't care, I'm a wrestler and I enjoy both products, and you pick one side over the other, I honestly feel like you shouldn't really be watching it, because you're not watching it for the wrestling or the display. You're watching it just to say, oh, they did this better than that. Because me and Eric, we've picked our sides, but we don't pick the sides for, oh yeah, because they do this better than this. we pick the sides because of how we feel about both products. Because me and Eric watch NXT, NXT UK, AEW Dark, and All Elite Wrestling Dynamite every week. Both of them, we go through them fully. And for this podcast, we completely dissect it and make sure that we choose the best things to talk about. We don't decide because of fans and hate. We decide because we are pure wrestling fans.
Yep, that's exactly perfect. That's exactly the right wording to say it. And, if some of you haven't realized this, maybe you'll realize it now. Everything won't always be perfect, and wrestling is wrestling. Those of you who are excited just to watch, specific wrestlers on NXT, if you're the kind of person who flips the channel from NXT to All Elite Wrestling, you're doing the right thing. That's all I'm saying. If you're the person who just watches one show and waits weeks to look for the next show, doing the wrong thing. There's a reason why it's called the Wednesday Night Wars, and we are all a part of it. All of us wrestling fans have to look at it, and we have to see what we like and enjoy. And you know what that does? That does what the other companies want it to do. When companies see that they're losing ratings on a specific night, they look at why they're losing the ratings, and they try to copy. That's, my idea of what it is. Now, NXT have always had this issue, and I've been saying this issue for day one, and I'm going to bring it up again, is the fact that they have a lack of talent. They don't give us who we want to see and invest in. That is one thing that will always trigger me when it comes to NXT. I love the pay-per-views. I love the takeovers. I love what they're doing with Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano, and they're not even using them in the last 2 weeks. But I still cannot wait to see their final squash match. I can't wait to see what Finn Balor would do, and we haven't even seen Finn Balor in the last 2 weeks. It's the point where we're not getting the guys that we would like to see, but we're still invested. Now, speaking of NXT, we still have the mystery. There's a specific thing going around where some guys in masks are throwing the NXT roster in trucks. You heard about that, Jason?
I honestly feel like with all of the rosters and all of the people that we don't see, but then when you keep putting them on the back of your head and you're wondering how, because just like you said, if you change the channel, you're not supposed to be doing, you're not suited to be a wrestling fan. Now, I'm not saying you watch one full show and then you watch the next one right after. If you do that, then that's fine. But if you watch one show and then go immediately on, well, I don't know, say you watch NXT one day, you don't watch AEW, then you go on AEW's Instagram and comment like, oh, this sucks, NXT did better than you guys. You just don't deserve to be a wrestling fan at this point. I mean, it is 20.
Jason, I just want to clarify, because I feel like maybe you said something wrong or I said something wrong. If you're the kind of person who watches NXT and flips the channel to see what All Elite Wrestling is doing, are you a wrestling fan or are you not a wrestling fan?
I feel if you flip the channel...
Not the whole thing, just back to back once in a while. When a match is...
If you go back to back on flipping the channel, I feel like it could be like a double-edged sword. I feel like it's good to watch both products, but I feel like it's bad because you're not watching the full show. Now, I feel like if you watch one of them...
Well, you can't be invested in the full show. So that's why I'm confused. Because I said you're a wrestling fan if you do that. If you do go change the channel, see what you like. Because you can't be invested in the entire show. But you can give it the attention that you decide. You make the choice. So let's say I'm flipping the channel last week at NXT, and I see Theory versus Tyler Breeze, and I see Cody versus Jimmy Havoc. Both started the matches. One match was definitely better than the other. Definitely. Longer, better. But as a fan, I'm influenced, and I like both these topics. I will have to pick one of them than the other. That's just how it is. But that doesn't mean that the next match I'd want to watch what All Elite Wrestling or NXT is doing, so I'll flip the channel for NXT and see what they're doing.
I honestly I'm not gonna say I disagree with you because I do feel like both of those matches would be good to watch flipping through. But the way I go through it is, I feel like you have to savor. It's kind of like when you eat a meal that you haven't had in the first time, and it's gonna be, it's gonna be really really good, but you eat it too quickly. I feel like with wrestling, especially on Wednesday Night Wars, I watch it in this way. When AEW first started, I watched AEW, then I watched NXT. When the next week happened, NXT the whole show, then AEW. I watch them both and I analyze them both. And I don't say, oh, they did this better than this, they do this better than this. I just enjoy the wrestling at this point. Now, there are some stuff that, on the couple of weeks they have done better than AEW. And the same goes for NXT, that AEW's done better stuff than them. But I feel like if you keep going in the constant way where you're just watching both shows in one day and you don't wait or flip through the channels, I feel like your experience would be a lot better. Not to say that the people that do that are bad people, but I just feel that's just the way I watch the wrestling.
Well, I agree with you in aspects, and I see what you're saying. And, I am the type of person to flip the channel if I get bored, but I always rewatch the entire show after. Right.
But
that's me as a wrestling fan. But there are people who don't do that, who don't rewatch the show after. Let's say I'm watching All Elite Wrestling, and then I see it's a boring match. I go to NXT, and I see Leo Rush. I'll watch NXT, and then I'll flip the channel for All Elite Wrestling. But then after, when that's all done and everything's, online, I'm going to rewatch All Elite Wrestling to the end. I'm watching NXT to the end. But that doesn't mean that I can say what's better or not. I feel like you have to speak out. I feel like your voice is the strongest thing, and I think they listen. So if you say, I hate this, people will listen. People will back up. I think us as wrestling fans have the power to change what we don't like. Even though that may not be the best thing in life, that is something that we have. So we have to use it.
Honestly, just like you said, I agree with you in some aspects of it, especially when it comes to some boring matches that do. Because I'm not going to say that. Because, I do watch both shows fully, and I don't skip anything or do anything like that. But the only thing that I feel like that matters when it comes to you and myself and other wrestling fans like us when we watch it is eventually watching the full show and not just watching one and criticizing the other. Now, with AEW and matches lately, I can go out and say it. AEW has been killing it with the matches lately. The past 3 weeks, I can say AEW has put on better match quality, out of everything. Now, with NXT storylines, is like you said, I think they're doing that a lot better than AEW currently, because the hottest storyline that I enjoy right now in AEW is the Cody Rhodes and Lance Archer thing, and the hottest thing on NXT is Gargano and Ciampa. I feel like Gargano and Ciampa, since that rivalry has gone so back, and they had an hour-long promo showing us secret photos from the Performance Center and clips from the Cruiserweight Classic. I just feel like that they're showing the backwards thing with that, and they're going all the way back, and that's kind of why I'm more invested into that than Rhodes and Archer. How do you feel about those two rivalries currently?
All right, so Rhodes and Archer is one that everyone's ready to see. I feel like having Jake the Snake as, the manager for Archer, because Archer, really is not one of those speaking kind of guys, is amazing. But Brothers in Bonds is always going to win against anything. If you told me what I'm more invested in, Dusty Rhodes versus Cody or Gargano versus Ciampa, I would say Cody and Dustin. But this isn't the case. We have Lance Archer and we have Cody, or we have Gargano and Ciampa. And because Gargano and Ciampa has been a long-awaited rivalry, this is something that I think everybody will be watching. Even if All Elite Wrestling is on, even if the pay-per-view, I don't care what's happening on other news. If you're not invested in what's going on right now with Ciampa and Gargano, you have not been following the path that me and Jason have. Because there will be a clear winner in this match. And what's next for both these men after that, only time will tell.
Honestly, I feel like I just agree with you 100%. They just, like you said, brothers in arms, that storyline always, if you want to influence any wrestling fan, all you got to do is show them a match between guys that were the best friends. You know, the Triple H and Shawn Michaels, the Garganos and Ciampas, the right now Edge and Randy Orton, which is probably the match I'm most excited for at WrestleMania today or tomorrow. It's just that factor that always kicks in where, like, it doesn't hit you. Sometimes it hits you emotionally, but it hits you in a way where you can relate. Because everybody's had a brother or a friend where they, you know, wanted to hit him in the face once in a while, punch him, and you can just relate to it.
Yep, I agree. All right, I think we have clarified the Wednesday Night Wars perfectly. Jason, anything you want to give, any other response or any other information before we get to what we're really been waiting for is the WrestleMania predictions.
Sure thing. To close out the Wednesday Night Wars, myself and Eric, we're going to throw this out one more time. We are not the type of people that's going to pick one over the other, because me and Eric are true wrestling fans that enjoy both matches and the quality that both shows can provide. Do we think one is better than the other currently? I don't know. We're not going to basically throw out if one is better than the other. Do we both support one side a little bit more than the other? Of course, but that's for personal reasons only. Does that mean that we're always going to be like, oh, AEW is better than NXT this week, NXT is better than AEW? No, because at the end of the day, both shows are providing the best, and this Wednesday Night War, honestly, it can continue to 2025, and I will continue to be invested in this, as will Eric, because we are actually wrestling fans that enjoy everything that they throw out at us.
Yep, I think you said it perfectly. So if you guys have not yet been checking out AEW Dark or AEW Dynamite or NXT UK or NXT, check it out. You will not be disappointed. That is
Nope, you will not.
The Wednesday Night Wars. All right, Jason, you got the list. Let's start.
How much time do we have left, my friend?
Oh, we have enough time, Jason. We have been on a perfectly good time streak.
Alrighty, well, we are about to give you guys, we're going to go through each match, and we're going to go through why we are either excited for it, not excited, and we'll give you guys our predictions too, and we promise that we will not change halfway through the show.
Yep, we've been listening to you guys, the fans. We've been reading your comments. I'm hoping, we've been responding to them, thanking you guys.
Multiple DMs and comments on past YouTube.
Yep, and we know you guys have been wanting to hear this. This is our final predictions. Where we go from here, there is no turning back. So let's hear it. Let's go, Jason. Let's give the people what they want.
We will officially start from bottom to top. Let's start off with a match that I am very interested in storyline-wise. Otis versus Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. You want me to start or you want to start?
Go right ahead. I'll hop in right when you're done.
I want this to be a Dolph Ziggler victory. Only because I want Robert Roode and I want Tucker to get involved, and then I want Heavy Machinery to win. Heavy Machinery is a tag team. If Otis beats Dolph, a previous champion, previous US champion, IC champion, it'll be very disappointing. So I hope, because Dolph is a heel, maybe it won't be Otis' WrestleMania moment. And it'll stir the pot to a bigger rivalry with Tucker, with Robert Roode, and maybe we'll get an actual 5-star tag team match. So my guy is Dolph Ziggler. Now, that's what I want. Who I think, sadly, because I don't think there'll be things like us, the fans, do. I think they're going to give it to Otis. But a man can hope. A man could hope that this could be Dolph Ziggler's WrestleMania moment. So my guy is who I think Ziggler. No. Who I think Otis. Who I want Ziggler.
You already know. I've already been I'm sure most guys can relate to the situation where you go for a girl, doesn't really work out, something happens, maybe things work out in the end. Most guys don't go through that. Some guys do. I have a soft spot for the storyline because it affects in real life situations with your best friend or a Valentine's Day thing. So I'm going to go with Otis on this one. I want Otis to win, and I think Otis is going to win.
All right.
Next matchup, we are going to go with Elias versus King Corbin.
Wow. Let me tell you something about two guys that I can care nothing less about. Have been doing some crazy things on SmackDown. Like, two guys that I'm not invested in at all actually making me want to see this match. All right. Who I think it will be Elias. Who I want will be Corbin. Now, I think Elias will win because Elias needs a push, and I want Corbin to win because I think Corbin is one of the most, I want to say not likable guy, so he's a perfect heel. I feel like if you don't like the guy already, he's already winning as a heel. I've heard this from many people. If you don't like me, I'm doing great at my job because that's who I'm supposed to be. So if Corbin wins, this just goes bigger from as a heel. He's already King Corbin. He won the King of the Ring. Let him at least get his Mania moment by beating Elias, a guy that really has had no push since he came to WWE. So, who I want, Elias. God, I'm making the same mistake twice. Who I want, King Corbin. Who I think, Elias.
I'm going to go with King Corbin in this match as well.
Awesome. Now I feel good about myself.
Now, with these two, how you said started off with nothing, how it could be just a kickoff match to a point where it's to the point where you're invested now. I feel like King Corbin is already on a good run when it comes to WrestleMania. This guy's putting in wins and victories. WrestleMania, his debut, which, fun fact, I went to that WrestleMania 32, when he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Now, when you put in the years to come after that, you see his match against Kurt Angle. He retired him. Now, you put him in this year. He is one of the biggest heels that has ever hit in there. Because if you say he's not doing his job right now, you're lying. You are completely lying right now. You know he is making you literally hate him as this goes. Now, the reason why I want him to win is because it'll just put more heat on him. And maybe we could see Corbin get a little extra. So I want Corbin, and I think Corbin.
All right. What's next, Jason?
Next matchup is Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley.
This is the one that I took a lot of thinking for, and a lot of times, and I've been doing a lot of research. If you guys remember like a couple weeks ago in our podcast, I said I believe it'll be Bobby Lashley, but now I'm thinking Aleister Black has been getting nothing but a push on Raw. He has been winning and winning and winning. So, who will be put to the test? It took me a long time, but I'm going to stick with my answer on Bobby Lashley. Who I want, Aleister Black. Who I think, Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley will win because Bobby Lashley is the exact big guy talent that can beat Drew McIntyre, that can beat Brock Lesnar, that can beat Goldberg. And I believe that if he wins this Mania, there will be a push in it for him. So, if you guys are for the idea of using Bobby Lashley more than just Lana's bitch, please think Bobby Lashley might win this match, because I believe that we can get the right Lashley that we deserve. Now, again, who I think Aleister Black. I think it'll be one black mass and I think it'll be done. Honestly. But hey, maybe I could be wrong.
For that match, I'll just keep it going. Last year, WrestleMania, Aleister Black and Ricochet competed in the tag team match against the Usos, The Bar, and Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev. They didn't win the match, but they didn't get pinned. For Aleister Black, and as for Bobby Lashley last year, he lost to Demon Finn Balor in 5 minutes. And no joke, actually, the match was like 5 minutes and like 34 seconds, actually. For the person I think is going to win this match is simple. It's going to be Aleister Black, due to he keeps on getting better this year and last year, because when you go in, when you put on the amount of matches, good matches he's had this year, Cesaro, Andrade, Buddy Murphy, the 3 classics with Buddy Murphy, dominant performances, had a great recent matchup with AJ Styles in a no DQ match, and his match on Raw against multiple people. Hell, he even made Eric Rowan look good. But Bobby Lashley, he's been in so many very, very terrible storylines. Do I think it could be a make or break moment for him at Mania and he can finally bust out of that shadow? Hell yeah, that dude, former, he was in the military, dominant dude, big muscles. Could I see him kill Brock Lesnar and take that title? Or Drew McIntyre? Definitely. Will he win at this Mania, though? The answer is no. So I want Aleister Black, and I think Aleister Black.
Wow, break my dreams like that.
Next matchup, a rematch I'm very interested in, the WWE Women's Tag match between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors.
Okay. I think Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and I want Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. And it's very simple. The Kabuki Warriors have not entertained me enough like I wanted. They have not done enough other than versing Becky Lynch in one-on-ones matches. I'm just not invested in them, and that's pretty much about it.
Now, I want the Kabuki Warriors to win the match, but I think it's going to be Alexa and Nikki Cross. The reason why I want the Kabuki Warriors to win is because you think about all the past winners tag champions we had. We had Sasha Banks and Bayley. They lost the tag titles at WrestleMania after a very impressive reign. Multiple tag defenses. I think it was maybe 2 or 3. With the Iconics, they only defended the tag titles 2 times. The one time they defended it was against Jobbers, and the second time they defended it, they lost in a fatal 4-way elimination match on Raw. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross were very, very good champions. Multiple defenses. I think it was 4 defenses, and they put up really good fights and, eventually did lose to the champions now, Kabuki Warriors. And the Kabuki Warriors this year, not only are they the longest reigning women's tag champions, they've been putting on great matches. Main eventing TLC, main eventing Raws and SmackDown. I feel like since they elevated the championships a little bit higher than before, I think they got to keep this reign going until maybe possibly a different team takes it from them. But I feel like this year, it's actually going to be Asuka's WrestleMania moment.
All right. Interesting.
Speaking of tag team championships, the next match, Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza.
Okay. What I want is obviously Theory and Garza, super talented guys. It's just not their time, though. So, who I think, Street Profits. This one's not even... See, if Andrade was still in there, I'd have something to say. But because we're basically getting, talent that is being overlooked again and again and again against an actual tag team. I'm trying to go with the Street Profits, and this one's not even going to be one that I'm going to appreciate. It might be a 5-star match, but I can't even appreciate the amount of effort that was given to make a match like this. So I want Garza in theory. I think Street Profits.
Well, I'm going to go with the Street Profits. Think and want. Due to the fact that these boys are just getting started. Probably the funniest guys on Raw right now. Good guys doing what they are. Practically could not stop laughing a week ago when they were on commentary. These guys they got that it factor. Not many teams on Raw can really say they have that factor. Now, Austin Theory and Angel Garza, dominant people, great NXT careers. Both of them are already champions. You know, Garza was the WWE Cruiserweight champion, and Austin Theory was the longest reigning Evolve champion. These guys can go all day, no pun intended. Now, the Street Profits, it's their mania, it's their time to shine. I think they're going to get the job done.
I agree.
They want that smoke, and they're going to get it.
I agree.
Now, show stealer match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. John Morrison, Jimmy Uso, and Kofi Kingston in a triple threat ladder match. Who you got?
All right. With a lot of further consideration and a lot of thinking, this is not, New Day or Usos or Miz and Morrison match. This is now these guys testing who is better and who deserves the spot. And as much as I want to say the Usos are being overlooked and the Usos, are the ones that no one's really paying attention to right now, and the ones that are, not really how do I say this? Being used enough. And Jimmy Uso does not have that much really singles action background. I want it to be Kofi Kingston. I think that he proved himself at Mania that he can do it. And that he will win in one-on-one matches. Who I think is the guy that I'm going to be very happy if he does win, John Morrison. I think he came back to prove something, and at Mania he will prove to him, to his tag partner, that he didn't come back rusty, he didn't come back a loser, and he came back a winner.
Wow. Honestly, that's a good prediction. I mean, but you know how I am. We never agree on everything, so I'm going to go with John Morrison.
That's why I said. That's why I think.
Oh, I thought you said you think Kofi. My bad.
No, I want Kofi. I think Morrison.
Oh, you want? Well, I think and want John Morrison.
Ooh, you got me. All right.
Mostly because in all the WrestleManias that John Morrison has competed in, he's never won a WrestleMania match by himself. He's lost tag team matches. He's won a 6-man tag with Trish Stratus and Nookie, but again, not by himself. And he's had some singles matches that he's lost. I feel like because he's back now and he's in such a high caliber ladder match, he's going to step up a lot more than he usually does. Because, while he was out of WWE and going into other different companies, Lucha Underground, Impact Wrestling, doing multiple live events, PWG, Battles of Los Angeles, just going all around the world. That parkour ability has leaped from multiple different boundaries, and I think he can do something innovative and keep those championships around his waist.
Yep, I agree. John Morrison definitely may be the one to leave with the championships.
Yep. Next matchup will be for the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn versus Daniel Bryan.
Easy. It's going to be Daniel Bryan. That's all I got. I want Daniel Bryan. I think Daniel Bryan. That's pretty much it.
I'll go with Daniel Bryan, but I want Sami Zayn.
Okay. Next match.
It will be for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It will be Bayley, Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Tamina, and Naomi.
I want Lacey Evans. I think Lacey Evans.
Interesting. I want Sasha Banks, but I'm predicting Naomi.
All right. Next.
Now, the reason why is basically because Lacey Evans had multiple opportunities, and Naomi did have one opportunity, but, got screwed. Tamina is definitely came back with a vengeance, winning the recent triple threat match on SmackDown against Naomi and Lacey Evans, and then dropping the champion on her back. I feel like she is the wild card, but I feel like a future championship will be in her hands.
Uh-huh.
Well, next matchup is Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins.
I want the Messiah, and I think the Messiah.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe that Rollins has more experience, more ideas, and more leverage.
I will go with Kevin Owens, want and think.
Cool.
Oh, okay. You give me a little hostility now?
No, not at all, man. Just when the Messiah wins, I don't want to hear nothing.
Kevin Owens has been assaulted by the group led by Seth Rollins, but it's WrestleMania now. Kevin Owens has his back, he's got his eyes open, and KO is not only going to make his WrestleMania moment, he's going to beat one of the top WrestleMania performers on his best day.
I guess so.
NXT Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair.
It's going to be Charlotte Flair, I think, because, and this is just a brief one, All Elite Wrestling has veterans to work with the newbies, and I think NXT needs veterans, and I think Charlotte Flair is going to take the title from Rhea Ripley.
I'll go.
I want, and I think, Charlotte Flair.
I'll go with Rhea Ripley on this one.
All right.
For both. She, for the past couple of months, and all the last couple of months of 2019, has shown that she could be dominant on multiple occasions. Survivor Series, actually pinning Charlotte Flair in a triple threat on SmackDown, War Games, and win the NXT Championship on NXT from Shayna Baszler in a great matchup that they had. I think Rhea Ripley has kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle together of having a banger career at such a young age that I feel like her defeating Charlotte Flair would be like the hat on top of the body to make it perfect.
I don't see that happening, but we can always dream, can't we, Jason?
Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler.
Becky Lynch, I want, and I think.
I'll go with Shayna Baszler, want and think.
Cool. There's not really much you could say about this rivalry, so next match.
Edge versus Randy Orton in the last man standing match.
I want Edge. I think Edge.
I think Edge, but I want Randy Orton.
All right.
The man
we
single-handedly.
We can talk about this match, but it's as simple as it is. These guys go way back. Us even talking about it will just waste time. I think the match itself will answer why we want who we want, and I hope there's a good promo for what this match. I really hope there's gonna be like a really throwback promo. These guys have been tag teams. These guys have done so much together. This is the match everyone's been waiting for, and there's not anything we can say that can change anything about this match. So I'll just leave it as is. I'm for Edge. You're for Randy. We're going to have to see what happens.
John Cena versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt.
I'm going to go with The Fiend. And hopefully what comes after will be something new that we've never seen before from Cena. Because everyone who loses to the Fiend becomes different. We got the Messiah. We got no longer Demon Balor. We got some other version of Balor. We got Bill Goldberg as champion, which so far is the same thing since he beat the Fiend. But everyone who's been losing to the Fiend has been somebody else. So let's see what happens to Cena when the Fiend takes him.
I'll go with the Fiend Bray Wyatt as well.
It's and there's a simple reason. The Fiend's got the entire match. It's his match. It's his venue. It's his area. He's got everything to. Cena's got everything to lose. The Fiend has nothing to lose in this match.
The Boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles.
Okay. I'm gonna go with AJ Styles, and I think this is everyone's dream match. And I think that when this is over, no one will expect anything from The Undertaker ever again. So my guy is AJ. I want AJ. I think AJ. Please let this be AJ, and please let this be the retirement match that we deserve, that we want, that we're ready to see. Because this is the only match that we can possibly see that we've been wanting to see. And as soon as this happens, this will explain the next lives of Taker and AJ.
For AJ Styles and The Undertaker, this is a match people have wanted for a long time. And to see that they put a stipulation of the Boneyard matchup in it, it honestly kind of puts me in that situation where I feel like this is finally the thing that you can put on top of the wrestler of the decade, AJ Styles' career. Because I'm going with AJ as well, as I want and I thank him, because he's been dominant. He's done it all. 3-time U.S. champion, IWGP champion, Impact World champion. He's been a world champion wherever he's gone. AJ Styles is the one, and I think it's time for him to put Undertaker down.
Awesome. What do we got next?
Braun Strowman versus Goldberg.
I want Goldberg. I think Strowman. What you got?
The same thing.
All right. Anything else?
Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre.
I want Drew McIntyre. I think Brock Lesnar. What about you?
I want and think Drew McIntyre is going to put Brock Lesnar down for good.
All right. Anything else we got?
Nope. That is the WrestleMania card for day 1 and day 2.
Did you bring up the kickoff?
I did not bring up the kickoff.
I think Cesaro. I want Cesaro. And I think Natalia. And I want Natalia.
I will think Drew Gulak. And I will go with Liv Morgan.
All right. So as you guys can see, me and Jason are on complete different sides of most of these matches. And we will see what happens next. I just want to thank you guys for listening to us talk about the Wednesday Night Wars and to hear our WrestleMania predictions. By now, when we upload this video, the WrestleMania results will already be up. And this is just a really cool experiment to see how much we got right and how much we got wrong. So, like we always say, thank you guys so much for listening. This is the ARWP podcast, the All Real Wrestling podcast. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.